You talked about hockey, you talked about football. Do you have a favorite sport?
I'm a baseball guy.
Yeah.
I'm a New Yorker. I love the Yankees. 77 Yankees. Chris Chambliss, Mickey Rivers, Bucky Dent, Greg Nettles, Thurman Munson before he died in a car crash. Naaman Zilli, Reggie Jackson, Lou Piniella. You got Catfish Hunter on the mound, Brian Goodray, Tommy John, Catfish Hunter. I mean, you grow up with those guys, you just love the sport.
You have memories of going to Yankee Stadium as a kid?
Yeah, we didn't have much money. We went once with my dad. We sat in the cheap seats, and I smelled something there, and my dad said it was burnt popcorn. And I learned later that was marijuana. I never smelled it before. My dad was a great guy. He loved his kids. We just never went. He hated New York City. He hated the Bronx. I mean, he'd have a heart attack driving there, parking. It was just too much. And so I never really went, but I watched my TV all the time.
So what was it like sitting in Yankee Stadium as a kid?
Yeah, it was amazing. Even the seats right up top. It was just to be there. And when Tate was born, I wanted him to be in Yankee Stadium. And they were going to tear it down after they built a new one. And I took him to one of the last games at Yankee Stadium in the back in seats. And I got the same section my dad took me. And he's in a baby Bjorn. But he didn't grow up liking the Yankees. He's a hockey guy.
Yeah.
He wanted to be like his brother. So he goes to baseball games with me. But we have a hockey family. And my wife, Jill, she loves hockey. Our dog's Gretzky. I mean, we got a hockey family.
Now, did Jill like hockey before?
No. She loves her boys, and she just grew up going to all the boys' games, and she just loves it. But she gets on that TV now and screams and yells. She goes crazy. It's really cool watching my wife fired up for the Avalanche. Yeah. We won the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
You've been to 85 countries.
4.
Met so many people. Who is the most interesting person you've ever met?
Wow. Well, I got to live in Europe for a few years with people, and lived in Japan for a couple of years. Australia. Probably that story I told this morning to your team when I was in business school in Australia. I went over to New Zealand to see the country, and one of my mentors introduced me to Rod Dixon, who's an Olympian, a great Olympian, lives there. And he spent some time with me, few days, and I really fell in love with his heart and got to spend time with his family. And, just a guy that won the New York City Marathon, Olympian, just was, one of the most decorated New Zealanders of all time. And he was humble and down to earth and hung out with me. And after my visit, he took me to the train station. I just said, Mr. Dixon, I got a question. I spent the last 3 days with you in your house, your office, your ranch, met your staff, met your office, people, and wife, kids, and been in your home, and nowhere to be found are your Olympic medals. Like, I heard you went to 4 or 5 Olympic games, and I heard you won the 1980 New York City Marathon. Where are all your medals? And he said to me, "Oh, Tommy, all that crap is in a shoebox up in the attic, collecting dust where it belongs. Because I'm not gonna be measured on my awards and my medals. I'm gonna be measured on the people I love and serve." And he drops me off. I had no idea that 20 years later I'd be writing leadership books, but I wrote about him. And humility is everything, Matthew. You could be so good at what you do, no matter what you do in life, whether it's hockey or business or the doctor, whatever you do. But if you become arrogant, it's like game over. And in the coaching business, as you are, that's the sad part. There's a lot of arrogant leaders in the world. We need more confident, humble leaders.
Yeah.
So I've decided to dedicate my life to building those types of leaders. And they start at high school. Get them young.
Yep.
And then you do your job well and get the high school kids to understand humility. You don't need to coach the CEOs because they've learned it when they were 16.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm so passionate about working with youth, because they're formidable. You can teach a kid how to live a life of others.
Yeah, the big decisions of their lives are still ahead of them. I think very often, people will write to me, or I'll meet people, "Oh, I read your book." But very often they've made all of life's big decisions. Some of them have been made poorly. and they're trying to make peace with those poor decisions or unravel parts of those poor decisions or having to live with some of those poor decisions. I think what you do with the young people sets them up to make good decisions, and there's only 5 or 6. You get those 5 or 6 decisions right, and it changes your whole life. So we're going to talk about the work you do with young people in a minute, but before we get into that, you have so much going on in your life. You're writing books, you're speaking, you're doing these retreats, obviously, family. What are you most excited about in your life right now?
Instantly, I go to my career because that's where I spend so much time. I got a new book coming out in 2.5 weeks, and I think it's going to be a game changer. And got a great staff that we're growing our company, and I'm excited about that. But I don't want to answer that question that way. I want to be a better husband. I actually, my dream in life is to become the guy my wife thinks I am. Become the guy. If you look at the back of my book, all those amazing quotes you get, I want to become that guy. It's a journey, right?
What makes you think you're not that guy?
Well, one, I'm hard on myself.
Yes.
I'm real hard on myself.
Yeah.
But some gentleman said something at this men's retreat last weekend that our goal in life should allow the people that know us best to love us the most. And that's the greatest litmus test of the world is if the people that know you the best love you the most. That's most important. And I do think Anthony, Caroline Tate, and Jill for sure love me, and I love them. But my father, Matthew, with all his flaws, sat at that dinner table every night my entire life. I have 0 memories of my dad not being at the table. I missed a lot of dinner tables.
Yeah.
And I can argue that I'm still a great dad, and a
Yes.
great provider. I'm changing the world, and that's all true. But I missed a lot of games, a lot of dinner tables to build this, movement that I'm doing. And I got a great supportive wife and great supportive kids. But I got 2 more years with Caroline at home.
Yeah.
I'm not missing any more games.
Yeah.
I gave her my schedule with my agent. Reroute the plane, buddy. We're stopping in Denver. Caroline's got a JV field hockey game at 5:30. We're going that game.
Yep.
And you should see my schedule back there. I'm doing a speech in LA, and I'm flying back to Denver, crazy, but I'm not going to miss those games.
Yeah.
I got 2 years, and I want my daughter to marry a strong Christian man. And my role is to make sure that I model that. She's going to marry what I model.
Yeah.
So I've made a lot of mistakes because I put so much eggs in this career. I missed a lot of stuff. And so I am hard on myself, but I can be a better, more present father. And I know I got a lot more in me to be a better husband.
We were together a few months ago in Vienna.
Having schnitzel.
On pilgrimage, having schnitzel.
I love
How
schnitzel.
good was the schnitzel? I mean, how good was the schnitzel?
Well, there's not really bad schnitzel.
It's
just all good. I remember that lunch. It was a 3-hour lunch. All my lunches with you are 2 or 3 hours. It's impossible not to just dive into our hearts when I talk to you.
It's good for us. But your family was with you.
Yeah.
And I get the sense that they would see what you're describing differently.
Yeah, probably. If my wife was right here, she'd say, "Oh, Tommy, you're a great husband. You're a great dad." I'm hard on myself, Matthew.
Yeah.
Probably too hard.
Why do you think that is?
Because I still have a lot to learn about how to love myself, who I am.